Hello and welcome. I was going to say welcome back, but welcome to the first episode of Wizards at Work. That's Julie.
That's Dylan.
And we're clocking in. And today we have to talk about OneDnD and that whole situation.
What are you feeling about it? How are you feeling about it?
I have some mixed ideas and mixed opinions about certain things. Certain things I really like, and I've warmed up to the idea of quite a few of the topics on OneDnD and quite a few of the changes and new things they're adding. I've warmed up to them because I didn't like them before, but there's also some really bad misses, I think.
Yeah.
Like it's like a good, bad, and ugly. Like
I am
very
50-50. Yeah. I'm very 50-50 on it. There's some things I really do enjoy, and some things I really dislike.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for saying that because I love D&D, but also, and I know it's still playtested and everything's not finalized, so there's still major changes coming, so I'm not that worried.
Yeah, everything is not. Disclaimer, nothing is final. Anything that's mentioned in this podcast episode is not final, but the Wizards do want D&D players at large to give their opinions and their thoughts about this, so that's what we're gonna do.
And also, we won't be touching upon classes today because there's so much to even dive into that we can't even touch upon classes yet.
So we're just touching upon there were individual episodes posted to the official D&D YouTube channel where they talk about the different topics that have been touched on in OneDnD so far. So they've talked about the rules glossary, they've talked about classes, they've talked about races and stuff. So we're just going through the first episode of those. It is the longest episode on the channel. It's just over an hour long, and we'll be touching on the topics that they touched on. We won't be touching on things like changes to the bard and stuff like that. We'll do that in a different episode. So we're just going to give our first impressions on what we initially thought the first time we heard that OneDnD was happening. So Julie, do you want to start?
I will say that my initial thought is, oh no, because I really don't like change. I was scared that they're gonna, I don't know, because all the previous versions of D&D, I haven't played any of the previous versions of D&D until 5e, because we met right where 5e sorta started.
Yeah, it was like the initial peak of 5e.
Yeah. So, I haven't played anything other than 5e, so I wasn't really excited for a change of OneDnD. And I know they explained that, we're keeping basically the core rules and just expanding upon it, which is kind of nice, but also I really like what I know, which is 5e.
Yeah. I understand that. And I do also, just to reference what you said, they are making it, they said that they're making it, or they implied that they're making it backwards compatible with all the 5e stuff that already exists.
Yeah.
So if anything, any of your characters in 5e, they can just be ported to OneDnD, and anyone from OneDnD any character could probably be ported to 5e very easily. That being said, I feel like any change in D&D editions always has harsh criticism about it because people who play the previous edition just love it so much. I am under the impression that 5e is probably the best, most customizable, just interesting edition of D&D.
Yeah.
That being said, I've never played any of the other editions.
Exactly.
Because that's what I started with. So someone who loves, there's 3.5 edition?
Yep.
Somebody who plays 3.5 edition and that's where they started, they would probably like 4th edition as much. They would probably have a lot of harsh criticism for it. And they might even still just play 3.5 out of like, they're not interested in doing, and also sometimes takes a lot of learning to do the new editions. So
it's like whenever a new video game comes out in the series, some people like it, some people hate it. It's always a 50-50.
Yeah, it can be hit or miss for a lot of people, especially if they're like introducing a lot of new mechanics and they're like completely revamping it.
And like with OneDnD, they're sort of introducing new mechanics, and some of them which I like, and they're not also in the same way, they're also not introducing new mechanics, which is weird. It's kind of it's in that weird gray silver lining.
Yeah, my first impression of it was really that after reading through it, it just seems like they're introducing a lot of house rules that people already use.
Yeah.
Just for like ease of access to the game, I suppose. So instead of having the rules say something and then people use a different house rule, they just said, why don't we make the rules match what people are already doing anyways? So there's less friction.
Which is good for people that don't like the rules. Like say they don't like the natural 20s and auto success rule that's now in OneDnD. Yeah. They can just use their house rules now to revert back to 5e. So it's exactly. Like, so that's easier.
Any changes they don't like, you can truly just house rule it.
Yeah. This version seems more customizable, very customizable. And I really enjoy the backstory aspect of it because I like, you know me, you played D&D with me before, you know my D&D characters.
Yeah.
I like
You can't simply make a character, you also need to make a world.
Yeah, I did do that for one campaign. So I like how the backstories of it is very intertwined in the mechanics of the game now. Like, feats based on your backstory. I've always been a big fan of that idea. I've always wanted that incorporated into our home games. So I do enjoy that aspect where it's just like your character backstory, instead of just being just picking the criminal background to get a thieves toolkit or whatever. There's actual weight to it now.
Yeah, there's real value and like it actually affects your character more. Because you can slap a background onto a character and call them a criminal and then not explain it in 5th edition.
Yeah. Which is good for like one shots or like quick. But like for a heavy campaign, you want to dive deeper in your character's backstory and lore. And but one thing about their new backstory thing that they did that I don't really like is that every kit is worth the same amount of gold, like 50 gold pieces. I don't like that.
Really?
Yeah, no. Because I feel like if your character is I feel like your kit should also be talked to with your GM at the table. Like, but if your character is from a noble background, why would they have the same thing as someone that's
a hermit?
Yeah. Why would they have the same amount of gold and the same amount of
urchin?
This? Yeah. I feel like they should, of course, talk to the DM and be like, well, I think my character will have this as well. I think with how customizable OneDnD is, I don't think that would be an issue to be like, I think my character will also be holding on to this and this and this and this. And we'll have a bit of this. Instead of everyone having the same amount of gold pieces.
And I think that a DM could let that happen. And I think that the reason that has to happen is only because they're increasing the customization of it.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're also giving you guidelines on how to set up your, the items that you get with your background. They're giving guidelines on how to choose those items. So they need to standardize them.
Oh, yeah.
I think is the only issue. So because they are increasing customization, they also need to increase the standardization. Just so that it's all on a level playing field. That being said, it is a little weird to see a noble have the same amount of valued items as an urchin.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to say, before we move on, that I felt like when this was initially announced, this was, I feel like I remember them doing, was 5th edition supposed to be D&D next?
I don't remember.
I think it was supposed to be called D&D Next. And that didn't fly with a lot of people. And I'm glad it didn't fly because it's a terrible name. And with OneDnD,
I don't like the name.
I don't know about the name.
I am just
I was
probably
like,
gonna go...
ooh, I'm just probably gonna call it because I thought it was more of
6E.
a 5.5e.
Yeah, good point.
It's not even 6th edition. They're just taking 5th edition and sort of like revisiting some of the areas of it. And I don't think that's 6th edition, and I don't think it should be called OneDnD because that's kind of ugly.
So you're saying OneDnD is not the one for you?
Not the one for me. That is correct. And now we're moving on to the races segment. So they have changed a few things about different races. They haven't told us everything that they changed about every race, but they've given us a few things.
They've also added some new races to the Player's Handbook.
We at least know that they have added one, right?
Actually, two.
There were one new one, and they added one that already existed in. Wasn't it in Mordekainen's Tome of Monsters?
I'm not sure, but they
I thought
added
it already existed somewhere, and they added it officially in Player's Handbook because it's been in Unearthed Arcana for so long.
Yeah, it's officially in the Player's Handbook. Orcs are officially in, and new race is pretty much the reverse of a tiefling. Is an Ardling, I believe it's pronounced.
Yes, Ardling.
Ardling.
Yes, I have some interesting thoughts about Ardlings.
I'm excited to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, so they are, like Julie said, they are the counterpart to tieflings, they also updated tieflings and sort of matched Ardlings to it, where the tiefling now will hail, when you make a tiefling, they hail from a certain lower plane, and this can be either abyssal, infernal, or chthonic, and these are known as tiefling bloodlines, and it changes a spell that you know, I think it's a cantrip, and your resistances, depending on which one you hail from, and infernal bloodlines, we know, get firebolt. They get firebolt innately. I think this potentially opens up the option for bloodline choices for other races. Yeah. I think that would be fun. Tieflings also, I believe they get size choices now. They can choose
and so
to
do
be
humans.
small or medium. Yeah, humans do too.
That's neat. I liked that.
I know, it's perfect for you.
Okay, well...
You can make a truly accurate version of yourself now.
Okay, well, you don't have to be me. I mean...
And so, yeah, they give the option to humans that are just smaller as well. And they made a completely new race. Well, I don't know about completely new. I want to talk about it. Ardlings.
Oh yeah, I can hear your voice. I can hear the smile in your voice.
Yeah. Ardlings. Ardlings are cool.
Oh dear.
I really like the idea of a lot of people like to play anthropomorphic characters, so that's cool. Ardlings are, they're kind of like a cool, I think they're like a reference to the ancient Egyptian pantheon, like with dog faces and bird faces and lion faces and stuff like that. And they're also related to outer planes, but they're the upper planes, not the lower planes. So they're the reverse of the tieflings, with the three upper planes being, heavenly, idyllic, and exalted. And I suppose that would also change the cantrip that they get, because that would make sense.
Yeah.
And they also get the small medium options. You get to pick which animal face your character displays. And they come with temporary flight through spectral wings, which I really love.
Yeah, I believe that's the first Player Handbook race that can get flight.
I think so. Yeah, you're right. It's the first Player's Handbook race. And a lot of races after the Player's Handbook, and a lot of classes as well, like in Tasha's, they add flight.
Yeah.
A lot of them add flight or temporary flight or partial flight. It's really cool because flight is such a cool thing. Yeah, it is about time. Yeah.
It's not just a cool thing in combat, it's also a cool thing for like roleplay.
Yes, it's a cool thing everywhere.
And also adventuring. It's just, flight is amazing.
And cool things are always good.
Yes.
Cool things are always good to have. One thing I will say is, I want to make a point, is that I do think that Ardlings are stepping on the toes of Aasimars.
I am so glad you brought that up. Because don't Aasimars also at a certain level get temporarily flight depending on their subrace?
They get it at 4.
I think it's level 4.
It's level 4, something like that. Yeah.
Depending on the race, I believe.
They do get that flight. And also, Ardlings will probably, we don't know yet, but they would probably get it at a later level as well. But That being said, I don't really know if we should have made Ardlings do that, or maybe have I think a better idea that they could have done was they take the Aasimar and they have Ardlings be like a sub-race of the Aasimar. Yeah. And basically, so like, you know how there's the plains, the upper plains that they hail from now? I think that if they had the Aasimars hail from one of the plains, and one of the plains allowed your character to be an Ardling, like, if you hail from the idyllic plane, your character has an animal face and can grow temporary spectral wings. Like, that would be a good way to do it, instead of introducing Ardlings, which are kind of like, why? And if there's, so you know, we have the tieflings with the lower planes, the Aasimars could have been upper planes, and Ardlings being animal faces, they could have been the mid planes.
I feel like instead of making a whole new race, they should have just updated Aasimars. Just a personal opinion. Because everything about Ardlings I've heard so far sounds very familiar to Aasimars. And instead of creating a whole new race, you could have just taken some of the Ardlings things, like you said, and make like another sub-race or whatever.
Yeah. And the sub-races that exist for Aasimars are kind of like, it's not really like a sub-race, but it's more like an outcome of the Aasimar. It's like, it's a fallen Aasimar because they fell from glory, or it's like a, whatever, you know, like a protector Aasimar. So it's more like a lore thing, less of a sub-race. It's more like a result of their life. Yeah. So I don't know. I think Ardling could have been a good thing to tack onto like a different plane that they come from. But yeah, I do like Ardlings, so I do think they're interesting. I just think that maybe they're stepping on the toes of Aasimars a little bit too much.
I don't know if I like Ardlings yet, and I'm gonna be honest. Yeah. I just feel like they're Aasimars 2.0.
Yeah. I do think Aasimars will still be amazing.
Yeah.
I do think they could potentially even be better than Ardlings, depending on what abilities they give Ardlings, but I'm still touch and go on Ardlings. We'll see what they do with it, because, you know, still not finalized, but regardless.
2024.
Moving on to the backgrounds section, and Julie has a lot to say about the background section because she is obsessed with character backgrounds.
I am obsessed with character customization in general, and character backgrounds is a big part of it, and I was so excited to learn about the level 1 feats for background, and I was so excited. I wrote in my notes on all capitals, level 1 features for backgrounds. Let's go. And then I got very disappointed really fast. It was like a roller coaster. I went really high, and then it just dipped.
Yeah.
But that's just touching on features. I'm not going to touch on that right now. I'm going to talk about backgrounds. I like the ability score improvements you get from your backgrounds. Your thoughts, though? Because I'm more of the narrative builder. You like to build meta characters.
I'm the metagaming character builder. I do like that they made the backgrounds more important from like a character creation thing, because it makes more sense. Your character, what they've been doing, like they said, quote in the video, your stats, your modifiers should be based on what your character's been doing, not your character's race. You could be a tabaxi that is bedridden, so you have low dexterity, but you have high wisdom, or something like that. So not every tabaxi needs to have that dexterity. So moving it into background makes it make more sense, because your background's basically what you've been doing, as opposed to your race. It's just what you're born as, and what you're born as does not affect what you're good at. So
also, I will touch upon that. I like how they're encouraging the different race parents, like tiefling or child. I like how they incorporate that. That was nice.
I like that too, except that was also another example of something that people already do.
Yeah.
People already do. And
they
also
just made a canon now.
Yeah, they just made a canon. Yeah. And also I would say that I wish they actually made it more customizable than taking aesthetics from like both parents or one parent and then taking the stats and abilities from the other. I wish you would be able to pick what you want from the parents.
I would have liked that too, but I feel like that would have been complicated, because I feel like OneDnD right now is just meant to be as an easy gateway to learn D&D. I feel like doing that would have been too confusing.
Mm-hmm.
But I do agree with you that it should have been like that, because you don't just get one thing from one parent and the aesthetics from another.
You get a lot of stuff from both parents. That's kind of the point. And I think that better customizability is never a bad thing. More options is never a bad thing, because it only creates opportunities for more interesting, unique characters to be made, and more interesting campaigns overall if everyone's character is so unique. So, like, someone could play a drow tiefling, and they could take, like, aspects from the tiefling and aspects from something else from the drow, and they can, like, pick. And I think that they could figure out a system to limit it. So, like, you know, if you pick an Aarakocra or a turtle, you can have either the flight or the armor, you know, something like that, where it's not completely busted.
You know what would be an interesting combination, just because OneDnD made it polar opposites? Ardling and Tiefling. Just because of how OneDnD made it to be contrasting.
Yeah.
And also what will come out of that.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of great story options.
Yeah.
Like, that character's kind of like a walking contradiction, and that would be really, really cool. I agree. It'd be really interesting. And you can put your ability score improvements wherever you want. You don't need to, you're not locked in.
I'm gonna make the strongest wizard, man.
Yeah. I'm gonna make a plus strength plus con wizard.
My spells are
don't
my
do
fists.
that. Don't do that.
Don't
do that. That's an awful idea.
Punch your enemies.
Okay. The fact that you can do that, it makes it so, like, there's kind of like a double-edged sword to it. It's kind of like they create a problem and then fix it right away. Where something like an acolyte, because they also have a lot of preset backgrounds for you to use. So something like the acolyte has preset increases. Let's say, I'm not sure, but let's say to, like, intelligence and wisdom, for example. And you want to play a fighter that's an acolyte. Now you are a fighter that is locked into an intelligence and wisdom bonus as an acolyte. That being said, they created that problem and then immediately fixed it with saying that you can customize your background. So you can take all of the abilities and features from acolyte and all of the items and stuff and skill proficiencies and whatnot, and just give yourself a +2 strength and con, or dex and con, or strength and dex instead. So you can take everything from something and then just give yourself a different ASI, basically.
And actually, this solves one of our problems. Not really solves one of our problems, but it helps one of our problems that we both really hate. Sorcerers.
Oh my god, I hate sorcerers. We can't talk about this now.
I know, we can't talk about this now, but
we will save it for another episode
we'll save it.
Sorcerers exclusively.
And I'm playing a sorcerer in one of the campaigns, so I'm allowed to be mean.
Yeah. They also said that you will get a feat along with your background. And it is...
I am upset by this. I was happy about it, and I am upset about it now.
Segue into the feat section. So... Okay. So, feats have levels now. So a first level feat and supposedly a 6th level feat for question mark?
What will happen to fighters?
Yeah, what will happen to fighters? Because we know it'll be first level feats for your first level when you get it, because everyone gets a feat at first level now. And they'll be balanced around the level that they are. So a 20th level feat will have a lot more power than a first level feat, or at least it should. And then there'll be 4th level for your ASI. And then definitely 8th level and 12th. And then 16th and 20th.
You're a
or
fighter
19th,
class.
depending on what you are.
Do you pick again from 4th level? Do you pick one from 8th level? Or does that just not happen anymore? Does that just...
Or do fighters have specific feats for 6th level? Because they're the only ones that get a 6th level feat, right?
Or are they going to do something like very inhuman where you can't get an extra feat? Where instead they're going to change it to something with inspiration? Because they've been really bringing up the inspiration die a lot.
Which they should. I appreciate it, because it's never used. And when it is used, it's forgotten about, so...
I will touch upon that as well, because I'm 50-50 on that.
Yeah, so, like, these feats are kind of, like, confusing a little. That being said, maybe they'll just give the fighters an extra 1st or 4th level feat option at 6th level, or maybe they'll have 6th level feats that are available, but only fighters can take them? Or, I mean, if you're above level 6, if you're at level 8 and you're picking a feat, I suppose you're allowed to pick a 6 level feat. So anyone above 6 level could still take a 6 level feat, Julie.
Yes. But...
Right?
I guess, but I don't know. I feel like I just don't like the levels. I like the idea of a character getting a feat based on their backstory. Mm-hmm. And I feel like blocking it off based on levels, like you won't be able to get... Say you have a character from the Fey realm, and you won't be able to get Fey touched as a feat because it cancels ability score at level 1. So... Even though that would really help your backstory, it just feels like, once again, this is something you can talk to the person running your game and work things out with them. But also, I feel like it just kind of, it's like a skill tree almost, but the skill tree sucks.
Yeah, I think that having feats locked behind levels, this is what I was referencing when I was talking about I've warmed up to the idea of some things. I really loathed this idea initially, but now that I've thought about it and I've watched some videos on it and stuff, I would say that I'm still not fully into it, but I would say it's not necessarily a bad idea to make it so that a character can't take Polearm Master Great Weapon Fighter immediately at level 1.
But
like busted combos like that, a character shouldn't be a master of polearms at first level.
But okay, what about the lucky feat then? Technically you can get that at level 1 because it doesn't change any ability scores.
Yeah, well, your character can be a lucky person before level 1.
I don't like it.
I don't know. There's a lot of things, a lot of busted things. And also, they could remove the ability score improvement from Fey Touched.
You're right.
And Shadow Touched.
You're right.
They could remove it.
One thing I do...
And then it becomes level 1.
One feat that I do enjoy is that how they're changing some of the feats so that everyone can use them and not just certain...
Yes.
Like, the healer feat. I am always the cleric. Want to be the wizard, always the cleric. Hate it. And I always, no matter how many times I play the cleric, I always look at the feats and I'm like, oh, I should probably take the healer feat. And I always immediately forget what the healer feat does until I read it. And I'm like, oh, well, I can't really do that. I already do that. So
yeah, you would think that the healer should be very good with the healer feat. But it's not.
It's not. Well, it's 50-50.
It's better on someone else who already can't heal.
Yeah. So I do enjoy the fact that they're changing up some of the feats so that you can, for both magic users and people that are not spellcasters. I enjoy that. I'm excited to see the new healer feat.
Some of the template backgrounds that they give have specific feats attached to them that you gain. So, like, when you pick the criminal preset background that they give you, as an example, you get alert. And alert is really, really, really good.
And they changed alert.
It's amazing.
They changed alert.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's amazing now because it was really good before. Now it is very good.
Being able to switch initiative?
Yeah. Swap initiative with an ally is how they explained it. You might be able to swap initiative with other people because they can change it. So it's not final. But as of now in playtesting, you can swap your place and an ally's place in the initiative. So let's say you have the very first go in the initiative. Okay? And you have an assassin rogue who is at the bottom of the initiative, and you have alert. You can swap your first place in the initiative with their last place in the initiative so that they get their third level ability to always deal a sneak attack, or always deal a crit, rather. Always deal a crit when they have surprised enemies. So, that is very good. In certain situations, it'll be very good combinations of very good team-oriented feat.
Definitely, and I like how OneDnD so far has been really talking about more team compatibility. Yeah. They're like with the musician feat that they created.
Oh, I love it.
It's interesting. I don't know if I like it yet. I mean, I like it.
I love it a lot.
I like it, but I don't know if I love it.
They're allowing characters to apply inspiration.
Depending on their proficiency bonus.
Intentionally. Based on their proficiency bonus. Now, that inspiration is very good. It just does not get used very much because people like to hoard it and save it because it's very valuable and they want to use it for the perfect moment. But this encourages them to, and the way they've revamped inspiration, which we'll talk about later, they are encouraging people to use their inspiration by adding things like this. And also, we didn't even mention it during races, humans get
inspiration.
Any human automatically gets inspiration after a rest.
Yep.
So that
so far OneDnD
very good.
So far OneDnD feels like to me just hot potato with inspiration.
Yeah.
Because you can have inspiration, you can give it to inspiration.
I mean, before inspiration was just like, I didn't like it before because they gave you these, and it was with other things too, but mostly inspiration, where they would give you this mechanic of anything, whatever it may be. They give you the mechanic, and they don't really tell you how to implement it properly into the game. So, a lot of DMs who primarily use 5e don't really fully realize inspiration as a mechanic. They can give inspiration out as much as they want, and they don't. Because they were never taught what is the accurate and appropriate way to use inspiration in a 5e setting, and when you should give it, and how you can give it, and your reasoning for it. And that led them to not really do it very often, which is a problem because it's a really cool thing. Now we're going to move that over to D20 tests. D20 tests are being changed. They are being changed, and also they're being brought into the category of D20 tests because they were known as ability checks, attack rolls, and saving throws. Now they're just being brought under the umbrella term a D20 test, which I really like. I really like that.
Okay, I have a lot of questions, and I don't feel like any of them were really answered.
Like what?
Okay, well, group dice challenges. Like, you and your party are sneaking around, and everyone rolls. Someone rolls a 10, someone rolls a 13, someone rolls a 25. Someone rolls a natural 1. Does the whole party fail then? Does the person that got the 25 counter it? With the immediate 20 is a success and natural 1 is a failure, I feel like it just really not only ruins the group dice challenge mechanics, but also a lot of fun things that can happen in D&D. Because if you got a natural 20, but it's not something your character is automatically proficient in, like maybe you're a barbarian doing a history check, and your barbarian is not the brightest. Your barbarian wouldn't know everything about the topic by getting a natural 20, but they might have a spark of inspiration and
literally my character, my barbarian.
Yeah, your barbarian.
He went to analyze a new technological car, the Manimobile. You know.
Yeah, you know.
He went to go analyze it. He has -1 to intelligence, and he analyzed this car in the campaign, and he got a nat 20, and it went down to a 19, but it was a nat 20, and all of a sudden I knew everything about the car. It did not make sense.
Yeah.
That shouldn't have happened.
And your character, their backstory, they're not from anywhere with technology. This is our first place with technology.
Yeah. It's from a tribe. So.
Yeah, so I feel like a natural 20 success, it really takes away some of that fun roleplay aspect where character doesn't automatically know everything, but they get a hint of what's going on. Like, maybe your character didn't know everything about the car, but they understood, like, this helps it move. This is what works. If you hit this, because there's a magic rock in our car that heats up, that makes the car move. Grok, or your character named Grok, could have learned that if I hit this rock, okay, our car will start moving really fast.
Yeah. There's an issue with D20 tests, I think, because attack rolls already automatically succeeded if it was a 20. And automatically failed if it was a 1. That was already a thing in 5e.
Depending on your bonuses and stats.
Yeah, no, that was already a thing.
Really?
Yeah, that was the rule. The rules as written was 20's a crit and it hits.
Yeah, 20's a crit and hit, but I don't know about nat 1.
Oh, well, nat 1 was an auto fail.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that can actually fly for saving throws. I think that's okay to apply to saving throws as well. I do.
I don't.
I think that a saving throw, I think there is a chance that when a character attempts to avoid something, they trip and fall so miserably that they just fail automatically with a nat 1. Or they go and they take a Hail Mary leap of faith and their gamble pays off and they get a nat 20 and they succeed on this really difficult task that they had a small chance of completing. I think that's okay. What I don't think it's okay for is skills, ability checks. I don't think that's okay, because my character, Grok, the barbarian, should not have been able to, with a -1 in Arcana, analyze this car and get a nat 20 and know everything about it, because he's stupid. That's the point, is he's an idiot. And,
I mean, no, Grok canonically has a PhD.
Well, okay, well, there's a lot of... That's just for, like, flavor and funny. In reality, he would not be able to understand the mechanics of the automobile.
Don't put down Grok. He's the face of the party.
I love Grok. He's my favorite, okay? He's the face of the party. That being said, outside of, like, flavor and funny and roleplay, he cannot actually understand that car.
Yeah.
Like, factually, he can't. So, he shouldn't be able to. I also think it's an issue where, like, with a nat 1 being auto-fail and a nat 20 being an auto-success, there's a 5% chance that you always fail or you always succeed.
And if you succeed once, there's a high chance you'll succeed again, because you'll get an inspiration die.
And I think that I think my issue is more with the static 5% chance for an auto-fail or an auto-success. That static chance, I don't really like it. It's a bit too certain. It's a bit too, like, that will definitely happen this amount of times. Because you can math it now. Because it's always, you will always succeed this amount of times. You do something 100 times, you know how many times you will succeed it. Like, definitely. Because of math. You know how many times you'll fail it. Certainly. There's no doubt about it.
Who put math in my fun fantasy game?
Everyone did. It's always been a part
It's
of it.
horrible.
You just don't play a barbarian.
It's horrible. Yeah, barbarians have a lot of math involved for a character that...
You just don't play barbarian.
Yeah, I don't. I'm always stuck as a cleric. Always the cleric, never the wizard.
Oh, well, whatever. Get over it.
I can't.
That guaranteed chance is a little bit iffy to me. And I also think that, like, a character will be like, I love the dungeon dudes. I've talked to you about the dungeon dudes before. I love them. One of them brought up how in their campaign a rogue wanted to jump a 60-foot gap. It was his first campaign that he was ever DMing. His rogue wanted to jump this 60-foot gap, and his rogue said, I want to try and jump this gap. And he said, sure, I guess you make an... Or what was it? It was you want to climb straight up a vertical 40-foot wall. Like, just run up it. And you're not a monk. You're, like, a rogue. And he was like, sure, I guess make an athletics or acrobatics check. And the character made it and got a nat 20. Well, he got a nat 20. And he was like, I guess you run up the wall. I don't know how that was possible, but I guess you do it. And that was with a misunderstanding. That was him thinking, as a first-time DM, that the nat 20 means an auto-success, which it didn't, which a lot of people, even our DMs, Julie, they've done it where nat 20 is auto-success, like Grok with the car. That shouldn't have been a success. And this person's rogue. He considered it an auto-success, even though it really shouldn't have been with rules as written. And I think that the rules for OneDnD, they make it so that's the case, and you kind of have to do it.
Yeah.
If your barbarian wants to jump a 60-foot gap when they can't, but they make the nat 20, like, they don't have the movement for it, but they make the nat 20, it's basically like a lesson that's going to need to be learned by DMs that
your characters are allowed to fail. Yeah.
Yeah, you're allowed to say you can't do it.
I feel like so say the rogue, or Grok, let's use Grok again as an example. Grok said, I want to jump 100 feet in the air. on a vertical ledge, whatever. I mean, Grok's 13 feet tall.
Yeah.
Maybe he can do it. I'm not good at math.
He is insanely strong.
Yes. And you roll a natural 20. Instead of saying, okay, I guess Grok makes a jump, what else am I supposed to say? Say, okay, well, you don't reach it quite there yet, but you do grab a ledge, and now you're holding on.
Yeah.
And you still have a couple more feet to go, like 50, 60 feet more to go. You can start climbing up now, using your movement speed. Your next turn, whatever.
So, it's also like, when you make the ability check, it often becomes the player prompts the ability check by saying they want to do something.
Yes.
Where you can say you want to do a thing and make the ability check for it. Where under the impression of the player, the player's impression is that when they succeed, they do exactly what they wanted. Whereas as a DM, it's more, you succeed at the task you wanted to do, but not in the way that you wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So Grok can't jump 100 feet in the air, but he can jump as far as he can and grab that ledge.
Yeah. And then next turn, climb up.
You have to climb.
Yeah. You still make it. I think the thing with DMs is that they really don't want to see their players fail. They want to throw them the bone when they can. And
just throw them the bone that's real. The bone that exists.
The realistic bone.
Yeah, the realistic bone that exists.
Yeah. Because Grok can't. I love Grok. And Grok can do many things. But Grok can't jump 100 feet. Just like Kane.
There are limits to Grok's power.
My character, Kane, who doesn't know technology, I had to roll every day to figure out if I learned how to use a kettle. When I should have logically, because my character's actually very smart, should have figured it out after the first time. I didn't have to keep rolling for that.
Yeah. You could have just reasoned.
Some ability checks aren't needed, and I will say. If it's, like, another thing my character does, which some can say it's needed, some can say it's repetitive. I have to constantly check my surroundings, because my character is very nervous right now. So every time I leave our inn, every time I stay in my room, every time where I go in a public space, I have to do, I the player, make a conscious decision of making a perception check to see if the person I'm looking for is there. It's getting repetitive at this point. I should be able to just say, now I'm just going to do my looks. And if which some people say, well, you still should roll for that. And some people say, well, if anything major is coming up, DM will probably tell you to roll. Yeah. Because I think the party's annoyed at me saying, I'm going to roll again.
The DM will prompt something when it's necessary. I think it's become a standard that players prompt things, but DMs really are the ones that should be doing it.
If I say I'm just going to look around and nothing happens, it's just out there in the open that my character Kane is looking around. If I say I'm just going to do a look around and the DM says, okay, roll me a perception check, then I'm scared.
Yeah. And also you can use your passive perception.
Yeah. I don't have that high passive perception, though.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I have decent passive perception, but it's not great. You know who has a good passive perception? Our bard.
Yeah, there's oddly high wisdom.
Yeah.
Anyways, now just want to touch on the spell attack situation that's going on with OneDnD. Spell attacks can't crit. Which has me, I'm gonna throw a fit. That rhymed.
Yes. I mean, okay. I get where they're coming from, that maybe most of the spell attacks are saving throws. But not all of them.
But not all of them. And that's the thing. It's not all of them. So they should be the ones that do should be allowed to crit.
Yeah.
And also, crits now, they changed the crits.
Oh, yeah.
So when a rogue sneak attack crits, they only get an extra damage dice of their weapon. They don't get double sneak attack, they don't get to roll their sneak attack again. Did you know that?
I did not.
No, it's so bad. I think it removes it's like, yeah, a paladin's 5th level smite was decimating my boss. Yeah, that's true. But Dungeon Dude said it. the joy that the paladin or rogue that hits a crit feels, the joy that they feel
at that moment at the table,
is so worth it. And I see that so much. It's so worth it. That's the point, is to have fun. And if your character was built a certain way to where you're trying to achieve that, and you successfully achieve it, you know, you should be allowed to do that.
Another thing they changed is with the monsters, that they can't crit, but they get recharges. Now, we've been playing with this home because our DM actually does a lot of homebrew, and most of our enemies are recharges. Like, they
have recharges already.
So we've been playing with that for
and
a while.
Crit.
And crit. Recharges and crit. We should talk to our DM for something.
We have almost got TPK'd about every boss.
Yeah. Our DM has constantly said, I had to nerf my boss mid-battle. Like, if...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure every
counter.
single boss battle he's done, he said, I had to nerf it mid-encounter.
Yeah. Great campaign.
So I think that maybe recharges and non-critting bosses are the way to go.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to go.
And also, our DM, I don't know if all the enemies he does this, but I know for some of them that he rolls for the recharges.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. That's another thing they're doing too with the rolling recharges, which is good. I like that, and we've been playing with that for a while. So I do enjoy that.
Also, it's maybe just our bias because our DM likes to literally give us panic attacks when we play the game. So maybe it's our bias being like, I like no crits, because it also doesn't it creates a lot of drama. In the campaign. So I understand. Also being said, I don't like dying. I don't like TPKs.
That's why you have me, your local cleric.
Yeah, the cleric went trick, not by choice.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to say for ability checks, maybe having a character, because like, okay, so a rogue has a lot of expertise, right? So they might spec heavily into stealth and get, I don't even know what the max number they can get for stealth is, but like they can get absurd numbers on their skills to where they actually can't fail a check. Baseline, like they can't fail a check because their modifier is so high. So let's say the rogue has a plus 14, just for example, to their stealth, and they want to make a stealth check. That person has invested so many resources into making their stealth as high as possible that they shouldn't fail their stealth checks.
Yeah, if they get a natural 1, they still have a 15.
They auto-fail in OneDnD. They auto-fail, and I don't think that someone who specializes in that makes it their whole character's personality and, like, a huge part of their kit. They shouldn't be able to fail. That should be their shtick.
I feel like...
But they can still fail. And someone who doesn't even have proficiency in something, has a negative in something, can auto-succeed. No.
I feel like, once
That's
again, when we're going with... the DM wants to throw them a bone. A realistic bone, once again.
Yeah.
Your character, who's very sneaky, maybe bumps their head on the table while they're crawling. But if it passes the dice challenge, they still succeed. Yeah.
They do it
Just
well.
give your players a little bit of a, oh no, did I not pass?
Yeah.
With
give them some anxiety.
Yeah.
Give them a little, oh no, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But they can't fail that. Like, come on. That seems very unfair. You know? So, I would just say that, like, a character that is so specialized into something and a player who does that very intentionally, they should be rewarded for that.
And I don't know. Well, you say that because you're a meta builder.
Well, yeah, but it's also important.
Yeah. I don't know if I think we did, but we didn't dive deep in it. The inspiration hot potato.
Yeah. We'll talk about inspiration now.
Okay.
So inspiration, like we said, humans get it after finishing a rest. It's any rest, right? Short or long?
And I think it's just long rest.
Really?
I think so. I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
I'm not sure. But basically, at one point in their rest, they will get a inspiration at the end of it. And at a long rest, they lose their inspiration that they had. And inspiration, you can't stack it, but if you already have it, and you get inspiration again, you can pass it to someone else. So, let's say the bard, or the human bard, has their inspiration from the morning, and then they get inspiration by hitting a nat 20, because now nat 20s give inspiration, by the way.
Yeah.
So, let's say they get their human bard, they get their inspiration from waking up in the morning, and, which, by the way, very unrealistic to real humans, anyways. they inspiration in the morning, they hit a nat 20, they get more inspiration. They can pass the inspiration they got from their nat 20 to a nearby party member. It's really good, and I actually like that they're using it a lot more. That being said,
I feel like it's overused.
Yes. Considering like, I think the auto successes and auto fails on, like I said, attack rolls and saving throws, I think I would support that. A nat 20 on an ability check getting inspiration, I don't know about that. I also don't think they should auto succeed, so maybe I just don't think they should apply to that. I think passing inspiration over, I like it. It's interesting. They're finally utilizing inspiration properly and like more in different ways. That being said, it can get touchy when it seems like overusing.
It feels like every new aspect isn't about inspiration, and I get that OneDnD is trying to be more creative and also more party collaborative with like the new update to the feats, like once again for alert and giving inspiration to everyone else. But at this point, there's so much inspiration, like it kind of it's like the luck feat. Everyone has the luck feat at this point because everyone gets a free reroll at one point.
Yeah. It's gonna become like, what I'm afraid of is there's so much inspiration being obtained that you're gonna run out of people to pass your inspiration to.
Oh yeah.
Like everyone's gonna have inspiration, won't be using it, and I know it's supposed to encourage people to use it more, but they're conditioned to not do that. So
I don't remember. I could be remembering this wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong. But did they say that the inspiration runs out after a long rest and you have to do a new one? Yeah. So I mean, I guess
it encourages people to use it.
Yeah. So you have to use it in the D&D day, which I can see. But then you're also still nervous, like, well, what if I don't need for this check? What if I have to do a check later that's really detrimental and I shouldn't use it?
Yeah, the innate fear of wasting your inspiration will always be there because of inspiration, like how it works. Because you can still never guarantee you'll get inspiration on the next turn. So.
And then you're just, at the end of the D&D day, your DM says, okay, you can take a long rest. You're like, oh, darn, I still have my D20 roll. Okay, I'm just going to do something silly.
Just do something stupid. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a little touchy.
I like it, but I don't love it.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny because when they said everyone gets a first level feat, variant humans were kind of useless.
Yeah, until like the 40-minute mark.
When they said you can pick your ASIs and everyone gets a feat, it was like 50 minutes where variant humans were useless. Yeah. But now they get inspiration after a rest, so it's cool. They're looking at, and not, this is kind of like an umbrella because they weren't just looking at inspiration. They're looking at D&D things, different mechanics that people hoard a lot.
Yes.
So, Bardic Inspiration, which we'll talk about that in the classes episode. Because they did touch on that, and normal inspiration. And so there may be other things that people hoard that they're looking at, but we're not sure yet. Instead of keeping something like that on your sheet for the entire campaign and just like not using it. Now we're gonna continue on to the second last topic of this podcast episode, which is sources of magic. So the three sources of magic are arcane, divine, and primal. And these are respectively for things like wizards and artificers, and primal is druids and rangers, and heavenly is stuff like paladins and clerics. These are sort of like, how I understand this, they're a master spell list of categories for spells. So, something like Healing Word would more than likely be in divine. The divine. Yeah. But any spell can be in multiple of these spell lists, so there can be something that's arcane and divine. Maybe something like Arcane Eye, you know? Maybe that's divine and arcane. Not sure yet. That's just speculation. But yeah, there could be something that's in all of them. I'm not sure what spell that would be, but you know, maybe wish.
I like how they did it once again for ease of access. Like in like once again, I think Fey Touch is a feat that does it. But like you can pick one from enchantment or which other one was it?
Evocation.
Maybe.
Is it evocation or illusion?
Illusion, yeah, enchantment or illusion. Now you don't have to like scroll through enchantment, illusion, and be like, what can I take? Now it's all just in one class, which would be you could take one from arcane, or
yeah. Yeah, so stuff like that. So I mean, Fey Touch would now be you can take anything from the. I mean, supposedly it would be the primal.
Oh, primal.
So
yeah, I guess
that's what I would think.
I would think arcane
because they're not. They're not really arcane.
I guess.
So the spell definitions for arcane, divine, and primal are: arcane is manipulating the magic of the multiverse, as it's been described in D&D for many generations. As it's kind of like you're tugging on the strings of reality, and you're manipulating energy and stuff like that. Divine it comes from deities, or it comes from their realms, not necessarily directly from deities, but that would mean like a warlock patron
Yes.
would be a deity. So they have divine magic. Primal, drawing on magic from elements, spirits, and nature. So that means College of Spirits Bard is actually a primal.
Okay.
Primal magic. So they could say that you get the primal magic spell list and your own spell list or something like that. And they used to just be sort of like flavor things, the arcane, divine, and primal. I'm pretty sure all three of them were mentioned in previous editions, like before 1D&D, but they were just sort of there for like world building and never really there for any purpose. Now they serve as master spell lists, so feats like like Artificer Initiate had to be created after Magic Initiate because Artificers were added so late, really late in 5e, and they were new, so they couldn't be incorporated into Magic Initiate. Plus, they're also a third caster, right?
I think so.
Yeah, they're a 1/3 caster. So it was kind of weird, kind of difficult to include them in a Magic Initiate, so they had to get their own whole feat, which was kind of weird because now if you want to take Magic Initiate for those benefits, but you want an Artificer spell, you can't really do that, so you need to take Artificer Initiate. Now this is good because instead of saying, you get Wizard, Druid, Bard, Warlock, whatever, whatever amount of spells from those lists, now they just say, you can pick one spell from this list, one spell from this list, or one spell from this list, being Arcane, Divine, or Primal. The bigger categories allow the feats to be easier to create and define, which I think is good. The magic
I
feats.
like that. I think everything so far with 1D&D, what I do really enjoy is that the ease of access so far. Everything seems very straightforward.
Yeah. It seems like they're taking a lot of the good stuff from 5e and they are trying to make it simpler.
Yeah. That's what they said they're doing. They're keeping the same rules but just revamping them a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing a little bit of modernizing and stuff. It's good.
Even though I felt like we just talked really bad about it the entire time.
I mean, well, not the entire time, but I am being rather critical of it because spell should crit.
Yeah, spell should crit. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it for sources of magic, I think.
Is it time for Am I the Big Bad Evil Guy?
Yeah. Our closing segment.
Ooh.
Am I the Big Bad Evil Guy? Acronym AITBBEG. And we have a submission.
From our
we have a
resident
submission
bard.
for our episode today. Yes, resident bard.
Who also helped make our theme song. Very nice.
Yes. Thank you for helping make our theme song. So today, the submission says, Am I the BBEG for not protecting travelers that came into town? I am a 31-year-old male sword mage that defends a town I found myself upon. Maybe a month ago, there was a group of 5 people, maybe late teens to early 20s, that came to the town. They were acting as if they were gods. One was way more into it than the others, calling them F. But one really did seem like they could back it up, calling them Q. After a quick exchange, I found myself acting as a guide to the town, so that they can figure out the land, and also so that I can stop any trouble that they cause. They stopped by the inn to stay the night, and I took it upon myself to watch over the inn to make sure nothing happened, especially if F decided they wanted to do something. The night passed without event, and I would escort them to a tower to the west. The tower was headed by a wizard, though his demeanor would change quite drastically depending on his dress. As we drew closer, I made it clear that the wizard there was extremely powerful and that they shouldn't go. They had intended to go in the first place, but their intentions were lost to me. I let them go with a weapon I hold dear, and I saw them off. They also got a few gifts from the townsfolk that they believed in their godly status. Watching the tower from afar, I noticed several flashes of light. I counted 4, but that leaves a 5th person unaccounted for. When the wizard came by a week later, I asked what happened. He simply said, quote, "They were returned home," end quote, and said nothing else. I don't know what this answer meant, but I fear for them. 3 days ago, the tower up and vanished. No traces of the hill they were on. No traces of the tower. No traces of life. Just flat land and flowers that their clay golem loved to place around the hill. This was a month ago since those people went missing, and I haven't slept well since. And my wife is upset she didn't get to meet the self-proclaimed gods and still hounds me about it. Am I the big bad evil guy?
Is
Well,
he the big bad evil guy? I say no.
I say no as well. I don't think you're the big bad evil guy for... I mean, the travelers, they seemed a little bit...
Okay.
A little bit...
I think we're on different... We're
full of themselves.
I don't think we're on the same page here. Because what if they were... Hey, listen. What if they were gods, and that big flash of light was them going home?
I mean, is it a bad thing that they went home, though?
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. You just helped.
Yeah.
You warned them, you did the best you can, you wiped your hands clean, you gave them a sword.
Yep.
And if they were gods, that's cool. If they weren't gods, they went home.
If they were gods, they'll be fine. They're gods. You know? So, I mean, you didn't really have to protect them. People
they
said
were
they were
yeah,
gods.
once again, they were gods. You probably didn't have to protect them.
Yeah. And they sort of just vanished, so that kind of leaves no qualms, no issues. The wizard says he sent them home.
Okay, but that does leave... He did say there was one unaccounted for, so there could be either a traveler or a god, we don't know.
Somewhere.
Wandering amok. Which, I can solve another problem. Tell your wife you ran into him. Be like, hey, and fake an autograph and be like, I saw the one that was missing. I got their autograph. Here. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, you can... I don't think you're the big bad evil guy for not protecting them. I mean...
They're not who you were really there to protect. You're protecting the town.
You should really... I mean, protecting the town. You seem to do a successful job at that. They didn't really harm the town, it sounds like.
Once again, you let these 5 people into your town that were claiming they were gods, and maybe they were gods.
Yeah.
I mean
also,
maybe you could do a bit better at protecting... And you gave them your sword. Maybe do a bit better job at protecting the town also.
Yeah, maybe let's change focus to the town a bit more.
And your wife.
And yeah. Happy wife, happy life. Am I right?
Am I right?
Yeah. No, but I don't think you're the big bad evil guy. No, you did your best.
Just do a better job.
Yeah, just protecting the town, I suppose. Don't hand random strangers who claim that they're all powerful gods like a sword, maybe.
Wait, they also took the gifts from... Wasn't it a sword that he really liked too? Didn't he say that?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
I don't know, kind of a bad idea. And
wait, you're like you're the protector of the town. You let 5 strangers in, and then gave them a family heirloom.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe I think you are, but not for the. But you are for the town, not for these 5 people. I just think you did a really bad job.
Maybe not big bad evil guy, but maybe like big bad confused guy.
No, I think big bad evil guy, because you're probably gonna let more weird, like not more people that claiming they're gods into the town.
Big confused unaware guy, BCUG. You know, big BCTDG, big confused tone deaf guy.
You're not the big bad evil guy for what happened to those 5 people, but you are for what you just let into the town.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So a bit more caution. Exercise some caution when protecting your town. That was what we say. But you are, for your prompt, are you the big bad evil guy for not protecting the travelers that came into town? No.
No.
You are not. All right. Thank you.
I think that was it.
I think so.
I think so.
All right. Thank you, anyone who tuned in. We appreciate it. We love talking about D&D. That's why we're here. That's Julie.
That's Dylan.
And we're gonna clock out now, okay? We're going home.
We're going home. It's been a long work day. Sitting near the water cooler.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you for listening again. Bye-bye.